So if someone's out there and they're like, I think I might have a parasite and I want to do something about it, or they know they have a parasite, what are the tools in the toolbox to get rid of these parasites?
Or even if they don't and they just want to create a strong system to make sure that they...
Everyone has parasites.
Okay.
Let's make that clear. We all have parasites. Just some are communal, meaning they can create balance, and they're symbiotic in nature, and a majority of them are not. And they're causing massive devastation in the body, and they're gonna get you. So what is our first step? I think our first step is what we talked about. We got to get the foundation healthy, right? So we got to make sure we're sleeping properly. We got to make sure that our stress is regulated. We got to make sure we're eating the right foods, that we're encouraging the microbiota to be in balance. We got to make sure we're producing hydrochloric acid properly in the gut. That's our first line of defense.
How do we produce hydrochloric acid properly in the gut?
Well, you don't drink alkalizing water all day long. That's been, subject to some kind of machine that's turned it into an alkaline water. Spring water is fine, but you don't want to diffuse the acidity of your gut. That's really
so. It's
important.
like all that pH alkaline stuff. Is that all bullshit?
That's a very dynamic question. But pH is percentage of hydrogen or parts of hydrogen. It's very important to understand how pH works in the body, but we can't be drinking, electrolyzed water all day long.
So what should we be drinking?
Well, I think you should be drinking spring water. Spring water is very good.
Hydrogen tablets?
Hydrogen's good, which is doesn't really affect that. It's more of an antioxidant, hydrogen. I think we need to get the right salts in our body. We should be having the right salts. We need to have fermented food in our body, right? So I'm big on fermented food.
Is there a certain salt that you like, or do you just like table salt? Like, what's the salt?
Celtic sea salt is
you told me that on one of the episodes. So you do Celtic sea salt when you wake up?
I do Celtic sea salt when I wake up. I do Celtic sea salt throughout my day when I eat food. That's the salt that goes into my body.
And for fermented foods, what are your go-tos?
Sauerkrauts, just all the different kinds of sauerkraut, kimchi,
pickles,
cauliflower, all that kind of stuff. I love it. So we got to get the basics in. The foundation of our immune system has to be there, guys. That's really, really important. Then we can start going into the second layer, which is things like Para-X or ozone treatments, cleansing, enemas, different types of herbal cleanses, different types of things like that. Also, antifungal, parasitic diets, where we're kind of starving them out to a certain degree.
What would those consist of?
Well, mainly we can't be eating denatured sugars all day long, right? So that comes in the form of processed foods and things like that. We can't have simple sugars. If you notice, the parasitic energy has a hive mind, right? Like these things are smart. They're intelligent. They've evolved over time in this realm. They confuse the human experience. They confuse how we operate. There's a lot of spiritual perspective that, you're riddled with parasites. You're operating as a parasite. They've taken over. So that means that you're going to be sucking the energy out of people, vampiric energy. I think we all know people like that. That's really important conversation. It's the mechanism that parasites work that we have to research. And that's what Rudolf Steiner said. And he said that the parasite hive mind enters the cerebral cortex and turns us into a conscious state of parasitism, which means that we're constantly looking to see how we can take from others, and we don't even know it. That's the intelligence behind it. It's almost taken over our entire being. And that's really important because I think we all know that there is a heavy load of vampiric energy out there and parasitic energy out there. People are preying on people, and most of the time they don't even know what they're doing.
That is so crazy. It's like a dementor energy.
Totally. Yeah.
So it could actually be something in your system that's causing people to be like that.
I believe so. I mean, the action that the signal pathways that they operate with, like for example, Candida, which is it's a fungus-like bacteria, Candida albicans, that's sending signals into the brain of immediate desire for sugar. So a lot of your sugar cravings. So just think about the intelligence behind that. There's a particular out of balance material compound in the body that's sending brain signals to you to push your ghrelin, your hunger hormone, to desire sugar, which is their main fuel. That's intelligent.
So is it a good indicator if you are somebody that's craving sugar all the time that there may be either some candida or...
Absolutely.
So if you're somebody that's feeling like you need sugar all the time, you might want to think about, okay, starving yourself of sugar and doing some kind of cleanse to get your body regular again.
Correct. Yeah, candida diet, fungal diet, things of like that nature. SIBO, small intestinal bacteria overgrowth, all of these things, they're all interconnected, interwoven in the body. And they all affect the liver, the kidney, the gallbladder. They sit on the mucous membranes of your esophagus. They sit in all your internal organs and they create damage. And they don't allow you to uptake the nutrients that we're putting in our body as well. So
what does alcohol do for
proliferates it.
Okay.
Yeah, it's sugar alcohol. And so alcohol puts more stress on your body's ability to produce hydrochloric acid, also puts more stress on the liver and kidneys. And so those start to work in a deficit. When those aren't functioning, then you have a backup of bacteria and parasites in the body.
So this is going to sound like a really...
But I'll tell you this, parasites and bacteria, they love heavy metals, they love plastics, petroleum, they love alcohol, they love all of this shit and clutter in the body. They thrive in that ecosystem. They need that ecosystem. Do you know why? Because they thrive in nitrogen situations. So sugar and alcohol and even some forms of protein, they create nitrogen in the body. Parasites and bacteria, they feed off that. That's what they're feeding off heavy metals and stuff like that. They can't breathe oxygen. The healthy stuff in our body is oxygen breathing. So that's another way of looking at what parasites and bacteria do. They rob the body of oxygen. Just think how crazy that is. And what happens when the cells in your body are not getting fully oxygenated? Well, you rapid aging, cellular degeneration, and you go from looking like you're 28 to 55 in a matter of 2-3 years. That's real. Ugh. And so another thing, like people that are listening to this that care about their beauty and things like that, this is one of the most, after we were done with making Para X, which took forever, I was like, this is a beauty formula more than anything, because what we're doing is we're allowing the body to have an opportunity to breathe oxygen on the inside.